If Canada were to join the European Union and become an EU member, it would create significant shifts in trade, currency, and diplomatic relations with the United States. Trade and economic impact. Canada would likely have to adopt EU trade policies, including tariffs and regulations, which could disrupt the strong North American trade ties under USMCA, formerly NAFTA. The U.S. might face higher trade barriers or revised agreements, potentially leading to economic tensions. Currency shift. If Canada adopted the euro, the deep financial ties between the Canadian and U.S. economies, historically linked through the U.S. dollar, would shift. This could reduce the use of the U.S. dollar in North American trade and influence currency markets. Geopolitical and military alliances. While Canada and the U.S. share strong defense ties, e.g. NATO and NORAD, EU membership might alter Canada's military priorities, aligning more closely with European defense policies, potentially complicating joint security operations with the U.S. diplomatic relations. Canada and the U.S. have a close historical bond, but an EU membership could bring Canada under EU foreign policy influence, potentially leading to differences in approaches toward global affairs, sanctions, and strategic alliances. Border and immigration policies. If Canada aligns with EU immigration laws, it might impact North American border security agreements with the U.S., affecting travel, labor movement, and border controls. In summary, while Canada and the U.S. would still remain close allies, EU membership could introduce new economic and diplomatic complexities, possibly leading to a shift in the balance of power in North America and altering the U.S.-Canada relationship in unprecedented ways. 1. Trade and economic consequences. Canada is one of the U.S.'s largest trading partners under the USMCA, United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement. EU membership would require Canada to adopt EU trade rules, tariffs, and regulations, potentially overriding USMCA terms, and leading to higher trade barriers between Canada and the U.S. The U.S. would need to renegotiate trade agreements with Canada, possibly leading to economic tensions and reduced access to each other's markets. If Canada aligns its agricultural and industrial standards with the EU, American businesses exporting to Canada could face more bureaucratic hurdles. 2. Currency and financial markets. If Canada adopted the euro as its currency, it would significantly impact North American financial markets. The US dollar, USD, and Canadian dollar, CAD, have historically been closely tied, with many cross-border investments and banking systems integrated. A switch to the euro could reduce USD influence in Canada's economy, potentially pushing more trade settlements away from the USD and toward the euro. Wall Street and North American financial institutions would need to adjust to this shift, possibly leading to market volatility. Third, geopolitical and military shifts. Canada and the U.S. have long-standing defense and security alliances, including NATO, NORAD, and joint border security agreements. EU membership could redirect Canada's defense priorities, possibly leading to less coordination with the U.S. on North American security issues and more alignment with European defense strategies. If Canada aligns with the EU's foreign policy, it could lead to differences with the U.S. on global diplomacy, affecting stances on China, Russia, and military interventions. U.S. military supply chains and intelligence sharing agreements might also need revision. Fourth, border and immigration policies. Canada would likely need to align its immigration policies with the EU, which could create challenges for U.S.-Canada border security agreements. Freedom of movement rules in the EU could introduce new complexities in cross-border labor markets. The U.S. may be forced to reassess visa-free travel agreements with Canada if EU-based immigration rules significantly differ from current North American policies. 5. Diplomatic relations and strategic alliances. Canada's shift to the EU could weaken U.S. political influence in North America. The U.S. would likely pressure Canada to maintain North American agreements, but EU regulations may override or complicate these efforts. The U.S. might strengthen ties with Mexico to counterbalance Canada's EU alignment, shifting regional alliances. There could also be new tensions in Arctic policies, where the U.S. and Canada traditionally cooperate. Conclusion. If Canada joined the EU, the U.S. would face economic, diplomatic, and security adjustments. Trade renegotiations, shifts in financial markets, and geopolitical realignments would be inevitable. While Canada and the U.S. would remain close allies, their relationship would be redefined in ways that could introduce new complexities and strategic rivalries.